Have you ever looked at a company and wondered what it's really worth? I mean, what's the actual number? It's one of the biggest questions in business, and today we're going to crack it open with a super simple story about a lemonade stand.
And trust me, what you're about to see is going to completely change the way you think about value. So let's start with a little puzzle. Imagine a small business has $20 worth of physical stuff. You know, it's assets. Someone comes along and offers to buy the whole thing from you for $21. That's a quick, easy buck in your pocket. So you take the deal, right? Well, maybe not. Let's dig in. To figure this out, we're going to use our classic lemonade stand example. First things first, let's just look at that simple offer on the table and see what this little business is actually made of. Okay, so the business owns a $10 table, a $5 pitcher, and about $5 worth of glasses. It's all simple, tangible stuff you can actually touch and feel. You add all that up, and what do you get? A nice, clean $20. This is what you might call the liquidation value. It's what you'd get if you just sold off all the parts. So that $21 offer, it's starting to look like a pretty good deal. And there's the offer again, plain and simple. $21 for $20 worth of stuff. It really does seem like a no-brainer. But here's the twist. Taking this deal would be a massive mistake. And now I'm going to show you why. You see, what we've looked at so far is just one part of the picture. Now we've got to pull back the curtain and uncover the hidden value that changes this entire equation. So, let's go back to our question. The assets are worth $20. The offer is $21. Logically, you should sell, but what are we missing? What's the one crucial piece of information that just isn't listed here? This. This is the game changer. What if I told you that this little lemonade stand makes a consistent profit of $100 every single year? All of a sudden, selling it for $21 seems completely insane, doesn't it? You get a single dollar of profit one time, but you give up $100 a year forever. And this brings us to the most important word in business valuation, earnings. See, it's not about the physical stuff a company owns. It's about its consistent, reliable, money-making power. That's what drives its true value. Okay, so if $21 is a terrible price, then what is the right price? Well, to figure out its true worth, all we have to do is answer a simple question. How much money would it take to replace the income you'd be losing if you sold it? Here's how you think about it. If you sell, you lose that $100 a year. The only way to get that income back is to take the cash from the sale, stick it in a bank, and live off the interest. So let's just say a bank gives you a nice, even 10% annual interest rate. How much cash would you need to have deposited to make that $100 a year? This chart here really lays out the math for us. We need to generate $100 a year in income. With a 10% interest rate, what kind of capital gets us there? The math is pretty straightforward. 10% of what number equals 100? And the answer is $1,000. That's right. You would need $1,000 sitting in the bank, earning 10% interest, just to replace the income that your little lemonade stand generates all by itself. That is the true economic value of this business. And this brings us right to the core lesson of this whole thing, something we can call the earnings principle. We've just looked at two totally different ways to value a business, by what it's made of versus what it actually makes. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's staggering. On one hand, you've got the asset value, a measly $20. On the other, the earnings value is $1,000. It's not even in the same ballpark. The real business isn't the table and the pitcher. It's the system that uses them to crank out a consistent profit. So here it is, the single most important takeaway. A business is valued based on its power to generate future earnings, not just on its physical assets today. Its real worth comes from what it makes, not what it's made of. And that right there is a fundamental rule for all of modern finance. And this principle? It applies to pretty much everything, not just a lemonade stand. Think about it for a second. Is a house just worth the cost of its bricks and wood, or is it worth the rental income it could generate for decades? Is a college degree just worth the price of tuition, or the future earning power it unlocks for you? So the next time you try to figure out what something's worth, ask yourself the right question. Are you looking at its assets, or are you looking at its earnings?